Bill O'Reilly knows a lot about that. He has written about all of the presidents, author of Confronting Evil, also Confronting the Presidents, host of the new weekly podcast, We Will Do It Live. Bill, welcome back. Good to see you. I read your message of the day. You seem to be laying out that President Trump is caught between his legacy, which means he cannot back off of Iran and allow them to get a nuclear weapon or have nuclear material, and his political future in the midterms, which show him becoming increasingly unpopular because of the war in Iran.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things in play today. Thanks for having me on, as usual. I was just stunned at the pagans in the media being so upset with the Jesus picture. I mean, these are people. The last time they saw the inside of a church was when they were baptized. So, I mean, it's a lot of hypocrisy in the air. And I understand, Leland, that the picture itself, Trump was getting a doctorate in theology. He wasn't a real doctor. Sometimes they dress up. So you can see them poking fun at this because the overreaction just demonstrates how the media just hates Donald Trump and everything he does. Now, the strategy in the Hormuz situation is pretty good. I think the U.S. Navy will be able to stop most of the oil coming out of Iran, and that will hurt them big time. People have to eat, and their economic situation is dire. And as you said, there's no turning back now. So President Trump has got to win it, or he goes down as a loser president like Lyndon Johnson did. And Trump does not want that. So that's where we are.
Okay. So few things there. We'll get to the AI Jesus picture in a little while. I think that most Americans who are sitting at home figuring out whether or not they're going to be able to pay rent at the end of the month or buy groceries or pay for their kids' summer T-ball league are less concerned about the media and the coverage and whether or not there's an AI image of Trump and who's losing their minds. I think they're concerned about the war and what that means and whether America succeeds. This is from the New York Times. Iran blockade sets up a test of which side can endure more pain. You, unlike many, truly understand what Iran is capable of. During the Iran-Iraq war, the Iranians sent thousands upon tens of thousands of children, 10, 12, 14 years old, across the berm into no man's land to be slaughtered by the Iraqis in the hopes that the Iraqis would run out of bullets before Iran ran out of kids to sacrifice. Yeah. The only thing the kids had was a key to heaven, plastic key to heaven. This is the question, Bill. You really think that we can outlast, the American people can outlast Iran's willingness to endure pain?
Yeah, the American people have no choice. They elected Donald Trump. They don't have any choice. If Trump wants to stay there for 6 months, he's going to stay there for 6 months. He may lose the midterms, but that's what he's going to do. But I think you're underestimating the emotion of the day, whereby a lot of people are going, well, is the president unstable? That's why I made fun of this whole thing at the top. Because these heathens in the media couldn't care less about Jesus or whatever picture came out at 4 in the morning. They don't care. They just use anything to run him down. I don't think it was a wise move to have that picture put out there. I think the president is exhausted. He doesn't get enough sleep. He understands the strain he's under. As I said in the very beginning, this is the biggest gamble he's ever taken in his whole life. In his whole life. This Iranian thing is the biggest gamble a man has ever taken. And now, it's not going to go either way. I think America will prevail, but it's not going to be easy. And there's going to be a lot of angst. And, you know, he's internalizing that.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.